Exodus 1, 1 through 21. These are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob, each with his household: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. The descendants of Jacob numbered 75 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation died. But the Israelites were exceedingly fruitful. They multiplied greatly, increased in number, and became so numerous that the land was filled with them. Then a new king, who did not know Joseph, came to power in Egypt. "Look," he said to his people, "the Israelites are more numerous and stronger than we are. We must deal shrewdly with them, or they will multiply further, and, if war breaks out, join our enemies and fight against us, and then escape from the country." So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor. They built supply cities for Pharaoh, namely Pithom and Ramses. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them harshly. They made the Israelites' lives bitter, with harsh labor in brick and mortar, and in all kinds of work in the fields. And in all this work, the Egyptians used them harshly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one named Shiphrah and the other Puah, "When you help the Hebrew women in childbirth, look on the side of the birth stool. If it is a boy, kill him, but if it is a girl, let her live." The midwives, however, feared God, and did not do as the king of Egypt had told them. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" The midwives answered Pharaoh, "Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwife arrives." God was gracious to the midwives, and the people multiplied and became even stronger.
And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Every boy born to the Hebrews you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live." Chapter 2. Now a man of the tribe of Levi had married a Levite woman, and she conceived and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and caulked it with tar and pitch. Then she put the child in it and placed it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. When she saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." When Moses was grown, he went out to his fellow Israelites and watched their hardships. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. He looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw 2 Hebrew men arguing. "Why are you striking your companion?" he asked the one who attacked the other. The man replied, "Who made you ruler and judge over us?"
"Are you intending to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Moses was alarmed and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard about it, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill their troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses ran down and helped them and watered their flock. When they returned to their father Reuel, he asked them, "How is it that you've come back so early today?" They said, "An Egyptian helped us greatly against the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" he asked his daughters. "Why did you leave the man? Invite him for something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with the man, and he gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses as his wife. Zipporah bore him a son, and Moses named him Geshem, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. God saw the Israelites, and he acknowledged them. Chapter 3. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. He led the flock to the far side of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from out of a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was in flames, it did not burn up. So he said, "I will go over and see this strange sight," said the Lord, "why the bush does not burn up." When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," God said.
"Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers. I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the homes of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people the Israelites out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" God said, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this very mountain." Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' Then what shall I tell them?" God said to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites, 'I am has sent me to you.'" God said further to Moses, "You shall say to the Israelites, 'The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name by which I am to be remembered from generation to generation. Go, assemble the elders of Israel, and tell them, 'The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me and said, I have indeed paid attention to what is done to you in Egypt,
And I have pledged to bring you up out of the misery of Egypt into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of Israel will listen to your voice. Then you and the elders of Israel shall go to the king of Egypt and say to him, 'The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Now let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God.' But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless compelled by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that he will let you go. I will make the Egyptians favorable towards this people, so that when you leave, you will not leave empty-handed. Every Israelite woman will ask her neighbor and any woman living in her house for gold and silver jewelry and for clothing. You will put them on your sons and daughters, and so you will plunder the Egyptians." Then the Lord said, "Put your hand back into your cloak." So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he pulled it out again, it was restored, like the rest of his skin. Now, if they do not believe you or pay attention to the first sign, the Lord said, you may call on the second sign and make it come true. But if they still do not believe these 2 signs or heed what you say, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take from the Nile will become blood on the ground. Moses said to the Lord, "O Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." The Lord said to him, "Who gave human mouth? Who makes someone mute or deaf, or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I will be with your mouth and teach you what you are to say." But Moses said, "O Lord, please send someone else." Then the anger of the Lord burned against Moses, and he said,
"What about your brother, Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you and will rejoice when he sees you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will be with both of you when you speak and will teach you what you are to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth and you were God to him. But keep charge of the staff, which you are to use to perform miraculous signs." So Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Please let me go back to my own people in Egypt to see if they are still alive." Jethro said, "Go in peace." And the Lord said to Moses in Midian, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who wanted to kill you are dead." So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and went back to Egypt. He took the staff of God in his hand. Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey him and let the Israelites go?"
"I do not know the Lord, and I will not let the Israelites go." They said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Now let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, or he will strike us with plague or with the sword." But the king of Egypt said, "Moses and Aaron, why are you keeping the people from their work? Get back to your labors." Then he said, "Look, the people of the land are now numerous, and you are stopping them from their work." That same day Pharaoh commanded the slave drivers and the foremen, "You are no longer to supply straw for the bricks to your people. Go and get it for them yourselves. But you must still produce the same total number of bricks as before. Don't reduce your quota. Make them work harder and keep them looking for lies, so they will have no time to look at lies and fabrications." So the slave drivers and foremen went out and said to the people, "This is what Pharaoh says. I will not supply any more straw for you. Go and get your own straw wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced in the slightest." So the people scattered throughout Egypt to gather stubble to use for bricks. The slave drivers pushed them hard, saying, "You must finish your work, your daily quota, just as when straw was provided." And the foremen they had appointed over the Israelites were beaten, with Pharaoh's slave drivers shouting, "Why haven't you finished your quota of bricks yesterday or today, as you did before?" Then the Israelite foreman went to Pharaoh and cried out, "Why are you treating your servants this way? Your servants are getting no straw, yet we are told, 'Make bricks.' And now your servants are being beaten, but it is your fault." Pharaoh replied, "Lazy. That's what you are, lazy. That is why you keep saying, 'Let us go and worship the Lord.' Now get to work. Straw will not be supplied to you, but you are to produce the same number of bricks." The Israelite foremen realized they were in trouble when they were told, "You are not to reduce the number of bricks you make per day." As they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting to meet them, and they said to them, "May the Lord look upon you and judge you. You have made us a stench to Pharaoh and his officials. You have put a sword in their hand to kill us." Moses then turned to the Lord and cried out, "O Lord, why have you brought trouble upon this people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has burdened this people, and you have not rescued them at all." The Lord said to Moses, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my might, he will let them go. Because of my power, he will drive them out of the country." Chapter 5. God also said to Moses, "I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they lived as foreigners. Now I have heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians are holding in slavery, and I have remembered my covenant. Therefore say to the Israelites, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of the Egyptians. I will free you from being slaves to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with mighty acts of judgment. I will take you as my own people, and I will be your God.